All right, the NFL showdown of the weekend is set to be the 49ers against the Dolphins. And these are two really, really good football teams. If you look at offensive and defensive efficiency, the 49ers probably a tier above Miami, but Miami's got one of the best offenses in the game. They have the most efficient quarterback in the game in Tua Tagovailoa, and people are talking about the 49ers as having the best defense in the game with four straight second half shutouts in the book. So this one is lining up to be a titanic clash on Sunday, potentially a defining game for both teams down the stretch run of this 2022 regular season. But the reason that there's drama goes beyond the fact that both of these teams are really good. They're also familiarly related. Mike McDaniel, the coach of the Miami Dolphins, used to be the offensive coordinator of the 49ers. In fact, he worked with Kyle Shanahan his entire NFL career up until he got this Miami Dolphins head coaching job at the start of this 2022 season. And that has meant that Mike McDaniel has brought former 49ers players with him to Miami. And that's where the drama has begun. Of course, the most recent departure from the 49ers to the Dolphins has been Jeff Wilson Jr., the running back who the 49ers traded just a few weeks ago after they acquired Christian McCaffrey. Jeff Wilson, now a Dolphin, not a 49ers. So what's all of this drama about? Well, it started with an article from Ty Dunn, who posted some of the excerpts on Twitter, and that's what we're going to put up there right now. Raheem Mostert said that the 49ers rushed him back from injuries. And here is the exact quote from Raheem Mostert. It isn't right, and it's up to the player to step up and say, this isn't right. I don't think this is the best of my interest. Sometimes you don't get that with players, but for me, that was my case. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly how I'd handled the situation. I knew exactly coming off of rehab what I needed to do in order to get back on the field. So right here, the Ty Dunn talks about the Raheem Mostert's incentive to be as healthy as possible. The fact that he hurt his knee in week one of the 2021 season. If you look at this in larger context, Mostert was in a contract year. It was the final year of his deal. Kyle Shanahan expected Mostert to be back later in 2021 after the running back was hurt on the second play of the season at Detroit, but Mostert instead elected to undergo season-ending surgery. Of course, that, if it's all true, would have made the 49ers mad. Dunn writes that Mostert weighed all pros and cons when he decided to sit out the season. He knew how much he was risking. The decision absolutely pissed the 49ers off, is what the writing says here. But Mostert also knew how hard he would work. When free agency hit, Mostert believes the 49ers used his decision against him. And Raheem Mostert said, yeah, they did use that decision against me. They definitely did. I moved on from the situation. I have the opportunity to see them, which means that Raheem Mostert has the opportunity to play the 49ers. In the same article, Raheem Mostert also said that the Dolphins have a QB who can actually sling it, referring to Tua Tagovailoa. That has been construed to be disrespect toward Jimmy Garoppolo. Jeff Wilson, meanwhile, said some of this. Jeff Wilson said that he doesn't need luck to face the 49ers. And then he talked about the business decision that the 49ers made to trade him. They had to make a business decision. I had to make a business decision. Yeah, there's love and relationships around here, but at the end of the day, it comes down to business. People are going to do what they've got to do. That's what it was for both parties. No hard feelings. It could have gone the other way. A year or two ago, I probably wouldn't have said anything. I just kept my mouth shut and took it. Just like they spoke out about that, I can do the same. Even a blind man could see what we're doing. They're still a great team. I'm not taking anything away from the 49ers. They're one of the best teams in the league. I've been around them. I practiced with all the players. But at the end of the day, by the way, let me put Jeff Wilson on the screen here. But at the end of the day, you've got to do what's best for you. I've got a family to feed. I'm the first person to make it into my family, so I have to do what's best for me. That's fairly tame from Jeff Wilson. He talked about this being a business, and he said actually said there are no hard feelings between him and the 49ers. It was the part of his quote that came before that I said earlier, that he said he doesn't need luck when he's facing the 49ers, that made it sound like there was a chip on his shoulder. And let's be honest, there probably is a bit of a chip on Jeff Wilson's shoulder. Football players will use anything to get motivated. And the fact that the 49ers deemed both Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert expendable to some degree probably has, at least a little bit, lit a fire under both of those running backs, and they're now with the Dolphins with a chance to play their former team. So you had Mostert accusing the 49ers of, something a whole lot worse than Jeff Wilson was accusing them of. Jeff Wilson just accused the 49ers of viewing him as expendable in a business decision. But Raheem Mostert was saying that the 49ers rushed him back from injuries, and he also had the quote about the quarterback position. He said that we have a QB who can actually sling it. Well, that led to an escalation on Twitter. And we had Deebo Samuel chime in with this on Twitter. Good screenshot here, or good thumbnail, which we're going to use, made by Mike. Deebo tweeted this morning, 8:59 a.m. Raheem, be real with yourself. A couple of the laughing, crying emojis. So that started the war of words on social media. So you can get your popcorn out ahead of this game on Sunday. To this, Raheem Mostert tweeted right here. What clickbait? Not once did I dog Jimmy G in my interview. Did I praise our QB1, Tua? Hell yeah, I did. But I also threw out compliments to my former QB. But hey, let's leave that part out. I went back and I read the article, and Mostert, if he was correctly quoted, he said that the Dolphins have a QB who can actually sling it, saying that's why the Dolphins are playing offense at just a completely different level than anybody else in the league. And when you add that word actually in there, a QB who can actually sling it, you are, I think, by extension, insulting Jimmy Garoppolo, right? I don't think that it's possible to wiggle around that. No matter what else Raheem Mostert might have said, no matter how many other compliments were dished out in that interview that weren't included in the final text, he did say, if he didn't accuse Tyden of misquoting him, he did say that the Dolphins have a QB who can actually sling it. So I think that's where Deebo Samuel took the disrespect. And that's where Deebo Samuel chimed in with this. He said, be real with yourself. And then when Raheem Mostert realized that that might have been some bulletin board material that he put out there, he called it clickbait. But I still find it hard to believe that the quote that's at the bottom of your screen can be construed as anything other than a little bit of shade toward Jimmy Garoppolo. So Mostert said this about his words, but you can't really take a QB who can actually sling it, if you add that word actually in there, out of context. Also, let's not, when we talk about full context, let's not forget the whole Raheem Mostert story. In the 2020 offseason, he was upset after rushing for 4 touchdowns and 220 yards in the NFC Championship game that he wasn't the 49ers' highest paid running back. So he demanded a trade, got more guaranteed money from the 49ers, and then he returned in 2020 and obviously 2021 on that new deal with more guaranteed money. But he did suffer through some injury issues, and that is the context behind him saying that the 49ers rushed him back, or wanted him to rush back in 2021, but obviously Mostert refused. So there has been some bad blood, contractually at least, between Mostert and the 49ers organization in the past, which is necessary context when we talk about potential bitterness between Mostert and the 49ers now that the relationship is over. In totality, I would just say this: appreciate all of this back and forth for what it is. And that is kind of a boxing match smack talk, right? Anytime before you have a big prize fight, you have some back and forth between the two fighters. And I think it's great for that fight. And I think it's great for this game when you have a little bit of talk going back and forth. Now you have Deebo Samuel chiming in. You even had Charles Omenihu chiming in a little bit earlier, talking, I think, I wasn't sure if this was about the Dolphins, but we can presume it probably was. He thought it was funny that another team would think that they can run against the 49ers. And obviously, Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. are running backs. So there is a war of words going on here between the 49ers and the Dolphins. And I don't mind that for a game that has as much firepower on both sides as this one. Just take a look at this right here. We can see just how good the quarterback matchup is. If I could find this, well, it's going to disappear on me here in a second. But here, this is a good one right here. Look at the lowest interception rates in the National Football League. This is going to illustrate the QB matchup, at least a facet of it that we will see in this game. Tom Brady, the lowest. Jalen Hurts, number 2. But there you have Tua Tagovailoa, Daniel Jones, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo with his lowest INT rate ever, down from 2.7% before. Hasn't thrown one in 4 games. He's at 1.3%. Efficiency-wise, Garoppolo trails Tagovailoa, but he doesn't trail all too many other quarterbacks. It's Patrick Mahomes, Tua, and Jimmy Garoppolo at the top of adjusted net yards per attempt. So you have 2 quarterbacks performing at an extremely high level so far this year, not committing a lot of mistakes. And you have 2, I wouldn't say conference title favorites going at it, but 2 serious conference title contenders going at it. And they're obviously very familiar with each other, with Mike McDaniel coaching one of the teams, the longtime protege of Kyle Shanahan, and then obviously Shanahan on the other side. So anytime that anybody is deemed expendable, and Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. were definitely on some level deemed expendable by the 49ers, you can expect at least some hard feelings. And I think that some of those hard feelings have come out from Raheem Mostert and from Jeff Wilson Jr. And from let's not put them in the same category here either. Raheem Mostert's words were much more caustic toward the 49ers. At least some of those feelings have come out here in recent days through this article from Ty Dunn that was posted on social media. And because of that, it has started a little bit of a firestorm in the media, some 49ers Dolphins drama, to which Deebo Samuel clapped back. I mean, this is just such a good screenshot thumbnail that we've got to put it back there. Raheem, be real with yourself. That is a nice little war of words. It's probably going to show up on both teams' bulletin boards entering this game on Sunday. So 49ers Dolphins, you've got the best passing offense in football. Tua Tagovailoa is leading all the charts in that category. I'm definitely going to cover that a little bit more this week against a 49ers defense that I think is announcing its presence as the best unit in football, but they still have a lot to prove, and they could prove it on this Sunday's pivotal game against the Dolphins. And then you have the whole war of words behind all that. Hopefully that clears up what all this drama is about for all of you. I'm going to continue updating you on this as more tweets are sent, but it's certainly going to be fun because I view this as some pre-boxing match smack talk, which is always good to intensify the stakes ahead of any given game. Everybody take care.